Hi friends! Welcome back to my channel. In this week's video, I wanted to slow down and take you through a few small moments that I collected over the weekend. Most of them were of me spending time in my planners and journals, of course. It's been a really hectic start to the year that involved a lot of learning, constant context switching, and energy. This busy period has been ongoing since January, and I've caught myself starting to feel signs of burnout. I've been in this place before, so I'm constantly reminding myself to slow down and prioritize my self-care and just take it really seriously, because despite knowing that it is important, it still is one of the first things that I let go of when things get really busy. At the same time, I found myself with a couple of weeks in between school and work contracts. And during this upcoming break, I'm planning on tackling a small bathroom makeover project. And yeah, I know this might seem contradictory to claiming that I'm trying to rest and relax and slow down, but spending time on home projects is relaxing to me, especially when I know it's going to involve improving my physical environment. And it also means I get to check a project that I've been procrastinating on for over a year off my mental list, and I am so looking forward to letting go of that project and creating some space, because it's been occupying my mental to-do list for so long. So as we get into it, I want to invite you to grab something nice to drink and a cozy activity to keep you company while we hang out. Or feel free to keep this on in the background while you do some journaling, or even maybe as some accountability inspiration. I find declaring things in a public space is helping to keep me accountable, and I would love it if we could keep each other company and be accountability buddies. At the beginning of this video, I shared a few clips of us doing our bi-weekly grocery trip. It was a successful trip, I have to say. Meal planning is just going so well, and I'm really happy about it, because meal planning and grocery shopping are probably at the bottom of my list of things that I enjoy doing, but we've really managed to get it to a place where it no longer occupies much space in my mind, and it's really become habitual and like a second thought for me. So it was great. We managed to get in and out of the grocery store really quickly, and I knew that we had a few nights coming up this week where we wouldn't be home, so I planned around that, and I kept the meal plan lighter than usual, which is nice because it's nice to get a break from routine sometimes. And I think by the end of these 2 weeks, I'll probably be missing routine. After putting away the groceries, Mike and I got ready for our weekly long run. We do try to complete a long run every weekend. It's a really nice time for us to spend together with Coconut. And now that it's getting warmer outside, it's been even more enjoyable. And during this run, we experienced all 4 seasons. So we got a little bit of sun, we got some rain, we got some snow, and we also got some hail. We also stopped by to admire the cherry blossoms. They are blooming right now in a lot of different places. And then that night I worked on my pen log, and I finished another sketch of one of my pens. This one was my lime green Pilot Metropolitan. And I also experimented with mixing 2 of my Birmingham Penco ink samples that I got from Danielle from my Dandelion Diaries. I had heard that you can mix Birmingham Penco inks, and I didn't have any inks in my collection that matched the lime green of the pen. So I mixed 2 colors together, and honestly, I think I got pretty close to the actual pen color. So I was pleasantly surprised. The next day, I had to tidy up the mess that I made on our dining table. I had pulled out my gouache paints and I had experimented with using them in my hobonichi weeks. For the first time, I don't think I've used gouache paints before in any of my hobonichi, so that was fun. And of course, I had my ink samples out as well because I was working on my pen log. Does anyone else make a huge mess when they're painting? It can't just be me. And I probably should have tidied up that night, but I was too tired. So then I pulled out my journal to sort out my thoughts and feelings. It was a productive journaling session, and it was helpful in allowing me to set expectations for the coming week because I am in between work and I'm on a break from school, so I don't have a lot of structure coming up. I do have some social events coming up, and I'm helping out my sister with childcare this week, so I have some rough timelines like helping out after school or taking her kids to school. But apart from that, it's really up to me to make the use of my time. And I'm really hoping that I can get the painting of the bathroom done as quickly as possible because it is our only shower and we are going to have to be without it while I'm waiting for the paint to dry. So I'm really hoping that I can prep for things and minimize the amount of time that our bathroom is out of commission. After my journaling session, I pulled out my health and wellness planner to do my usual updates like my mood, how many hours of sleep I got the night before, and my habits tracker. I also prepared the template for the upcoming week, but I didn't get that on camera because I didn't realize my phone wasn't recording. So I don't have clips of that. It doesn't take me long. So I think it's mainly because I haven't really changed the layout at all since I started the book this year, and that consistency has really cut down on the time I need to spend setting it up. After that, I pulled out my A6 fun journal to update the ink of the day for 30 inks, 30 days. That is still going strong, and I've really enjoyed rediscovering some of my inks that I had previously written off. One of them in particular is Lady Rose. I decided to give it another try and ink it in some of my broader pens, and I wouldn't call it my favorite ink, but I enjoyed it a lot more this time around. So this day was Ferris Wheel Press's Autumn in Auburn. It is a very pretty orange brown, and I haven't used it since last fall, but I do really like the ink. I think I only tried it in one pen when I first got the ink, so I'm looking forward to using it again and updating it over time in my pen and ink log inserts. And since I had the ink out, I also took the time to update my ink log. So my pen and ink log inserts have been a very slow work in progress, and I'm fine with that. I don't want to put pressure on myself to work on them and get them all updated. So I'm pretty casual about when I pull these inserts out and how much effort I spend updating them. And I think I'm just going to keep it that way. So I'm interested to see how long it takes me to finish sketching out my pens and updating them. Right now, I like the idea of challenging myself to make use of my fountain pen ink bottles and samples to color in my sketches and try to find an ink that matches the pen body that I'm doing a sketch of. So now that I've dabbled into mixing ink samples, I think I'm going to have even more fun doing this. So I look forward to continuing this project. And then the last thing that I did this day was pull out my cousin to set up my week to make sure that I captured all of my scheduled events. It was a lighter week than it usually is because I am in between school and work right now. I am on break. So this didn't really take long, but I did have a few work-related meetings. So I'm glad that I did that. And seeing it laid out in my cousin allowed me to visually get a sense of what I could realistically accomplish each day for my bathroom painting project. And it actually made me realize that Wednesday is the only day that I don't have any scheduled events. So I ended up designating that day to be my painting day. And it allowed me to make a plan on what I could accomplish on Monday and Tuesday to set myself up for success on Wednesday. So I'm really glad that I took the time to update my cousin, even though I almost didn't because I didn't have a lot going on this week and I didn't think I would need it, but it ended up being a really helpful exercise. Okay, good morning. It is Monday and I'm going to use this as an accountability check-in for myself. I'm going to kick off my day by updating my health and wellness tracker as always. And then I'm going to swatch today's 30 Inks 30 Days, which is Goose Poupon. And then I'm gonna quickly talk you through my plans for this week in terms of the bathroom painting makeover that I mentioned in my last week's video. So I'm gonna share what I'm hoping to accomplish this week, and then in the next video I will update you on what I actually achieved and how that went. So let's start with the health and wellness, which is always how I start my day. And over the weekend, I did update the template for this week. So I'm just going to fill that out really quickly. And this week has been interesting because I inked up 2 pens with the same ink because I wanted to see how the ink would perform in different pen brands and nibs. The current ink that I have is Kobe Taisanji Yellow, and it's an ink that I was really excited to use because I had watched a ton of reviews on them, and I did buy it without getting a sample because I couldn't find a sample anywhere, and I had an opportunity to get a bottle at a very decent price because my parents were traveling in Asia at the time and were able to get a bottle for me. So initially when I got the ink, I was disappointed because it wasn't as legible as I had thought it would be, and the samples really didn't match the pictures that I was seeing online. So I was feeling disappointed that I had invested in a bottle without a sample. And then I started experimenting with it, and I'm in love with this ink. So I'm actually really glad that I gave it another chance and realized that it seems to work really well in a fine sailor, and it seems to be very legible in my Pilot medium nib, but it didn't seem to be as legible in my Pilot fine nib, which is the original pen that I had inked up with. So anyway, I just thought that was really interesting. And I'm gonna say for this week, I am feeling hopeful today and optimistic because I'm about to do some creative in my home, which I haven't had an opportunity to do this year so far. I'll show you really quickly how this looks with a thinner. And journaled. Okay, so that's my health and wellness updated. The only small thing is with this medium nib, when I'm writing, I do have to be careful because it does smudge easier. It just takes a little longer for the ink to dry, so I have had a few issues of smudging when I wasn't careful. So I do find writing small with the Sailor Pro Gear Slim is a little bit more practical for the grid size of the Hobonichi Weeks. But I am really loving how this looks with the medium nib. So I'm really loving this ink, and it's been really nice to rediscover inks that I had kind of written off and felt like maybe some regret in making the purchase, and now I'm just really enjoying it. Okay, so next up I'm gonna do a quick 30 inks 30 days. So we are in our second last week of April, and I have Goose Poupon, which is planned. So I'm going to head over to that page. And this is the bottle. I just finished a round of using this ink in my Sailor Pro Gear Slim Extra Fine, and it was a lovely ink to write with. So I have had some issues with Ferris wheel press in my Extra Fine nib. It's something that I'm just learning now that I'm kind of revisiting the inks that I already have in my collection. And thankfully, this is one of the inks that seems to work well with that Extra Fine nib. As much as I love that Extra Fine nib, it is quickly becoming one of my more temperamental pens where not all inks seem to enjoy writing in them. And I did the top here, so I'm going to do the bottom here. So I've compared this a few times to my very tiny sample of Pilot Iroshizuku's Inaho, and they are very similar. This one is a little more green, whereas that one has a little more brown in it, but in a pen, especially a finer nibbed pen, the differences aren't as pronounced, and I really love this ink. And considering that it's no longer possible to get a bottle of Inaho, I'm grateful to have found this substitute. I find it harder to do the writing on top of this swatch compared to below. So please bear with me if this looks a little bit messy. And in terms of quotes, I've just been reaching for my other hobonichis, and I've just been picking some of the quotes at the bottom. Okay, so I'm gonna pick this quote here. So we are done with the 30 inks 30 days. I'll move that aside. And the last update that I'm going to share for accountability is my plan for this week's painting project. So I'm calling it a bathroom makeover because after I'm finished painting, I want to update a few things like the shower curtain, and that's pretty much it when I think about it. Maybe add a little bit of art. So it's mainly a painting project, but this has been a project that I have been wanting to do since we moved in over 3 years ago, but we only have one bathroom with a shower and a bathtub. So I knew that it would require some coordination and disrupt our lives a little bit. So I guess that's part of the reason why I have procrastinated on it for so long. But I have enough time in the next week or so to dedicate like full days to this project. So I'm hoping that I can minimize the amount of disruption in our lives. And so that's kind of what I've been planning. Okay, so we are in this week, and it's pretty simple. I've kind of noted down some events in each of these days that I need to schedule working on this bathroom around. For example, tonight I'm going to be out because I'm helping out my sister with childcare, and I have an event on Tuesday and then an event in the morning and lunch plans on Thursday, and then I'm out on Friday night. So in terms of what I felt I was able to accomplish, today I'm planning on doing really small things that don't require too much effort and can be done in between meetings, and we can still use the bathroom while I'm doing them. So that includes like removing the towel bar, patching up any holes that need to be patched, and generally just prepping the room. And then on Tuesday, I'm going to continue prepping the room, and that's going to include, I should actually note down, so that'll include things like patching holes and taping edges. So I don't use a lot of painter's tape, mainly because I'm a little bit lazy, but there are some areas where I think it's going to be easier if I tape. Yeah, and then Wednesday is the day that I'm hoping to do the majority of the painting. So it's a very light color in the bathroom already. I'm planning on cleaning the walls on Wednesday, maybe Tuesday, depending on timing. And then my hope is that I can paint the first coat in the morning, give it a few hours to dry, and then I can paint the second coat in the late afternoon, evening. And everything I've read has said to give it 48 hours before using the shower again. So my hope is that if I finish this by Wednesday, then we'll be able to use the shower Friday night or Saturday morning. And I did mention that I almost never have things go to plan. So this potentially might be too optimistic, but I'm really hoping that if I do a lot of my prep work in the days leading up to it, then by the time I start painting on Wednesday, I can just go straight into it. And painting itself, I find if it's prepped well, doesn't take that long, but the prep is really what takes the most amount of time. So I'm hoping if I give myself 2 days to do that, and then painting all day this day, and then, Thursday, Friday is really just letting that settle. And I think of these days, we might end up borrowing my sister's shower, which is fine because I'm going to be spending time with her on Friday anyway to help her out with childcare. So that's my tentative plan. I've kept it very simple because I've just learned that the more I try to add to these, the more overwhelmed I'm going to get. So I'm hoping if all I try to do this week is paint the bathroom, then that might be okay. And then on the weekend or next week, I can think about other things like adding art to the bathroom or changing up the shower curtain or maybe getting some nice towels that match my color scheme. I'm not really sure. Oh, actually, one thing I do want to add is I'm going to put bathroom light, because best case scenario, I can swap out the bathroom light. I did already purchase a new light, but Mike is going to have to help me with that because I'm not sure if it'll be as easy as I'm hoping it'll be, because switching lights in this home is never an easy task. So anyway, this is my plan, intentionally simple. I will check in next week to see how this goes, and I'm hoping that by filming this and declaring it, I'm gonna try to keep myself accountable to actually get this done, because as I mentioned in my last video, I purchased the paint for this room a year ago, and I spent 2 years trying to pick a paint color, and I don't even know at this point if I'm still gonna like the color that I picked, but I already paid for it. It's sitting in the closet. I might as well just use it, and worst case scenario, I don't like it. I'm pretty sure we can live with it anyway, and it can always be changed if it has to be. So let's paint a bathroom this week. If you're still here, thank you so much for sticking around and spending this time with me today. I hope you're doing well. I would love to know what are some things that you've been working on, or what are some things that you are trying to accomplish in the coming week. And feel free to come back and let me know how it went. As for me, I will update you in the next video on how things go with the bathroom. Hopefully I will have some good news to share, and maybe some clips of how things are looking. After declaring my plans for the upcoming week, I feel motivated to get to it. So I am going to do that now. I hope you have a wonderful week, and I will see you soon in the next video. Bye.